right, we've also simultaneously got these tariffs that I think will be sort of a delayed effect. And I think we've seen throughout kind of this administration and even before that, tariffs get announced and then they get changed and then they get withdrawn, and right, it's here one day, it's not the next, and vice versa. So we'll see. But I thought it was pretty interesting to kind of dive into the supply chain of the lodging unit and RV, aspect of our industry, which was not, and I'm still not an expert in, but was an interesting kind of little tangent to go off on. So Luan Plywood, as I believe it is pronounced, is the plywood, very thin, shapeable plywood that most RV walls and a lot of park model walls.
It's a lot of framing work.
Yeah, and ceilings and cabinetry. So that was one particular tariff, and then there was either another or others that pertained to like finished upholstered furniture and then other types of lumber as well. So this is probably a construction industry conversation at large, but I would expect it to be most prevalent in purchasing of new RVs that are to be manufactured, or park models or cabins. Probably also comes up with the renovation or repair of these types of units. So just something to be aware of. And
Matt, if you don't mind, I'm going to read briefly from the Statistical Surveys report that came out about, I've done this before. I'm a data guy, and we've covered some of this RV kind of retail sales in past episodes. But I think that some of the stuff that's in here is, to your point, Matt, a little telling of like what the future signs could be. So August was a down month. It was down 4.6% year over year, but that's actually less than the previous year, around 8%, right? So in some ways you might look at that and say, well, still down, but down less. Is this approaching some sort of new stabilization, coming down from all-time highs?
Sure.
But if you break it out into the different categories, the category that's performing better than maybe expected, and that's what's causing the, that the numbers to be better, is travel trailers, right? And I think that going down to what is kind of the cheapest end of the line, as far as, look, if you're getting a motorized Class A, Class B, Class C, of course, those are going to be more expensive than the travel trailer market. And I'd say the other part of this that's sort of a good indicator is that the used RV market is actually up 1% this month in August.
Wow.
So I think because of the uncertainty and the tariffs, people are kind of going to purchase RVs that are already on the market, right? Where you have a really solid idea, at least, as to what is a good retail price, right, at the age of the unit. And I think that as new RV construction remains unstable, and people, I think, as consumers go, well, I don't want to take a gamble of what if the tariffs do stay, and that same unit I was looking at is now 10% higher pricing.
Right.
I can get a 2-year-old model, pay used pricing for something that has the same exact plywood in it, right? And so I think a lot of people might be starting to price that in, and it'll be interesting to watch to see if the used purchasing of RVs stays this way. But Matt, on the park model and the more lodging unit side, not a ton of used activity for units like that, unless it's a park to park purchase or some sort of one-to-one business deal. It's not like you can go there really isn't a site today where it's like, hey, buy my used park model cabin unit, right? Like that doesn't really exist. I think that is ultimately, like, if the tariffs hold, those units will be priced higher, and we probably will have some price movement there.
Right. Yeah. There's always those deals that come out in either just conversation with people in the industry, or even the one that hit the news, if you recall, was when Disney sold off a few hundred park models, cabins
from their campground at Fort Wilderness.
Yep. And then there was some surplus postcard cabin.
Right, but that's where that's a massive splash in the news. It is newsworthy because it's so rare that
for sure.
group of those hit like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the whole RV market, the actual vehicles is fascinating, right? You have the wholesale shipments, which is actually a lagging indicator behind the retail shipments.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's the ebb and flow and the reactionary kind of lagging indicators, and maybe this kind of throws a wrench in that a little bit. In that, right? Normally, the wholesalers will see a positive indicator in the retail behavior, which influences them to buy more inventory, but now maybe their inventory is more expensive, so it could create some waves in the in how those kind of the wholesale market and the retail market interact. So I would say if there's a takeaway, if you're looking at repairs or purchasing, planning in the future, for park model or RV purchases, just be aware of it and maybe look at the used market or lock in some pricing now before we see some turbulence in that market.